The new guidelines are the first of their kind in the country, focusing on making high-rise safer during earthquakes. KPIX 5's Melissa Caen on what triggered these new safety standards. Melissa?
Yeah, Alan, we're here at Twin Peaks in San Francisco, where we've got this amazing view of the San Francisco city skyline and, of course, all of those very large buildings. Now, to be specific, there are 156 buildings that are higher than 240 feet. That's a lot of tall buildings for a city prone to earthquakes. And when one of the tallest buildings in the city started settling into the earth in a way that was unexpected, the city commissioned something called the Tall Building Safety Strategy. Sinking and leaning, and people are angry and scared. How could this happen? And what if an earthquake hits? It's something the city has been trying to address since the tower's problems were discovered 2 years ago.
Well, this started 2 years ago when there was a huge attention to tall buildings, and so as a result, we want to make sure that there's trust in government, to trust in our regulators.
Today, City Administrator Naomi Kelly announced a new plan to make sure current and future tall buildings are safe in case of an earthquake.
We want to make sure that we are able to stay and live here in San Francisco.
The study by experts at the Applied Technology Council, called the Tall Building Safety Strategy, has 16 recommendations. And recommendation number 1, tighten up the rules for building foundations.
And geotechnical and foundation design tends to be less prescriptive in the building code than design of other components.
The Millennium Tower has been criticized for not anchoring into bedrock, but Professor Greg Dearland says that only 3 or 4 of the most recent tall buildings actually go into bedrock.
Many buildings, there's no reason to do that. It would be number one, a waste of resources to do that every case, but there's also even more environmental impacts when you're going down to those depths.
Still, for all the problems at the tower, it did force San Francisco to do what no other city has done: look at the safety of all its tall buildings.
And doing these sorts of things could be replicated and probably should be in different cities on the West Coast.
Now, we understand that the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco is eager to get these recommendations into the code so they can be effective going forward. Alan?
Okay, so Melissa, you did mention the foundations, but there have to be some other recommendations as well.
There are plenty, and I'll give you an example. One is to make sure that current buildings that change hands, maybe when they change ownership, they have to do a full earthquake readiness assessment, and that's one way to make sure that buildings that have already been built are as ready as they can be in case of an earthquake or other kind of disaster. Alan?
All right, Melissa Caen, thanks so much.